Modular Course MTP 103 in Block Printing, Unit 3, Printing and Making Block Printed Products. Since 12th century, India has patronized the art of hand block printing on different fabrics. Today, block printing has reached new heights by reaching different corners of the world. Objectives. After going through this unit, you will be able to understand printing process, prepare a printed sample, understand making block printed products. Introduction. The block printing is a time-taking process and specially requires a lot of skill. The three main items required for block printing of fabric are the wooden blocks, the fabric, and the die. For hand block printing, different designs and patterns are carved at the bottom of the block, which is finally dipped into a die for applying on the cloth. Separate blocks are required for each of the colors used in the design, and there may be a minimum of 1 or 2 colors and maximum up to 5 colors in a professional design. Printing blocks. Hand printing blocks are made of wood and are mostly rectangular or square in shape. Sometimes the blocks are also of iron or copper, as the case might be. Sometimes circular and oval blocks are also used. Different designs and patterns are carved at the bottom of the block. The carving is done on horizontal logs so that they can be carved finely, as the veins of the logs aids in chiseling the design, which before printing dipped in the oil for 24 to 48 hours and then put on the newspaper for excess oil to be removed before finally washing them in soap. Then the blocks are ready for printing. This is done so that the blocks, which are made of wood, and wood is a totally dried substance. When we put the blocks in the oil, the dried wood gets saturated with oil, thus helping in printing. Also, if the block would remain brittle and we will not put the blocks in oil, they can break. Secondly, the life is also extended if the block is saturated in oil. Every block consists of a wooden handle and holds at around 1 inch difference for the color to breathe for free movement of the air. Because if there is no free movement, bubbles would be formed, which will give us an uneven printing. Generally, for printing of any motif, a set of 3 blocks are used. These are namely known in the local language as Rekh, Datta, and Gad, Rekh, the outline block. The Rekh blocks are used to print the outline of the motifs, and these blocks are carved or chiseled, engraved on the wood. Datta block, the filling block. Datta blocks are carved in relief. These blocks comprise the fine line details of the inside of the motifs and are therefore very intricately carved. The stamping of Datta blocks comes within the outline printed by Rekh block of the same motif. In case the Rekh block is used. Gad block. These blocks are used to imprint solid colors on portion of printed and developed motifs. The Gad blocks are carved in a bold relief matching exactly to the shape of Rekh and Datta blocks, so that the portion in relief completely covers only a part of the motif impressed by the Rekh block. A set of imprinting blocks of any particular motif consists of 1 or 2 Datta blocks as per the requirement. Sometimes Rekh or Datta blocks are used alone when printing is done. That all depends on the design. Printing process. The fabric to be printed is washed properly to remove all starch present in the fabric and bleached so that the natural gray of the fabric is removed if it is desired. If dyeing is required, as the case of saris where borders or some part of the fabric is dyed before printing. The fabric is again washed to remove excess dye and dried thoroughly. Fourth, after that the fabric is spread on the printing table and fixed firmly with small pins on the table. This is an important stage as there should be uniform tension in the fabric with no ripples at all. Because if there are crevices or ripples on the fabric to be printed, we will get uneven printing. So it is utmost important to remove all the crevices or ripples from the fabric. Fifth, color is made separately in another room. Usually pigment dyes, or which are also known as acrylate dyes, are used for cotton. Sixth, color is kept in a tray on a wheeled wooden trolley with racks, which is very convenient and helpful while printing, as it can be dragged along as the printing process goes further. On the lower shelves, printing blocks are kept ready. Next, the tray of color rests on another tray which contains the thick viscous liquid made by mixing binder, urea, water, kerosene, CMC and color, i.e. the pigment. This gives the color a soft base, which helps to spread color evenly on the wooden block. The outer tray, a kind of box is spread by wax or plastic, is spread on top of it. Another box or floating tub is put, on which a bamboo strips are put. Which in turn is covered with a felt cloth to retain the color. On top of it, fine mesh is put so that the fibers from the felt do not stick on the block, making an uneven printing. Next, the process of printing is done from left to right. The wooden block is dipped in color tray, then applied by pressing lightly on the cloth. If we will press hard, the color will get on to the crevices of your block, giving an uneven and smudgy printing. Besides, if the color if the color gets on to the crevices of the blocks will get blocked. So it is very important that in such a case, a toothbrush is used to remove the excess color from the block. The printing begins with stamping of the outline. It provides the framework on the basis of which the rest of the design is printed. A point on the block is marked as a guide for the repeat impression, so that the whole effect is continuous and not disjoint. After the outline is printed, the various colors in the design are printed too. Each color to be printed has a different block. After printing, it is left to dry. Later, the printed fabric is dried out in the sun. The back side of the fabric is facing the sun, because otherwise it can fade because the color has not fixed rightly, properly. This is part of the fixing process. It is then rolled in wads of newspaper to prevent the dye from adhering to the other layers, after which it is finished by ironing out single layers, which fixes the color permanently. After fixing treatment, the fabric is transformed into a desired product like cushion covers, table covers, dupatta, bed sheet, and many more. Actually, we plan out what we are going to make from the fabric before it is printed. Say for a cushion cover, if we are trying to print a cushion cover, we will have a design which is suitable for a cushion. Say as the cushion is 16 by 16 or 18 by 18 or 24 by 24, the throwaway rugs, we will see to it that we have the corners properly for it. Supposing if we are having a table cover, we will print accordingly. If it is a round table cover, that would be done accordingly. If it is a dupatta, we will have the borders. Also, we can have little bit of on the borders, we can have little bit of kungras, which gives it a bouncy effect. And of course, we will have the pallus on either two sides. And then maybe we'll have the booties in between. If we are printing bed sheets, the printing has to be done in such a way that the printed area does not come at the bottom where a person lies down, but the design is such that it is heavier on the sides. But yes, for the bed cover, it can be printed on the whole. And we should have matching pillows or cushions with the bed covers. That gives a good, interesting look. Also, we could have throwaway rugs to match the bed sheets, or I should rather say, the bed sheets can be matched with a bed cover, the bed covers can be matched with the pillow covers, and the pillow covers can be matched with the curtains and or the dividers to give it a whole room product. The final product is achieved only after the tailoring has been done or the stitching has been done. Also, we could add a little bit of value by doing a little bit of kantha or a little bit of embroidery on the fabric. Especially this is done on the saris or your cushions, but never on the bed covers because it will poke us. Self-check questions. What are the different names given to the blocks locally? Question number 2. Why is fabric washed prior to printing? If you have been able to answer these questions, let us carry on. Sampling. Samples are important and are developed and tested before starting to print. It means making a sample of the fabric which requires to be sold. Sampling is one of the main processes and it has a vital role in attracting buyers because the buyers generally place the order after satisfying with the quality of the samples. Also, I would say while doing costing, a sampling product is far more expensive than the product we do in mass because samples are done individually, whereas when they are approved by the buyer, they are done in mass production, and definitely the cost of mass production goes down compared to the sampled products. If the sample is of good quality and with reasonable price, naturally the buyer will get to place the order. So it is essential that samples should be attractive, innovative, and of excellent quality. Samples are made in actual fabric with actual trims, embroidery, etc. These samples should be strictly as per the specifications. One should get the approval of the samples from the buyer before starting to print. And once the buyer gives the approval, we have to be absolutely 100% sure that we do not change the design or the style, the fabric, the sequence, the embroidery of the sample on the mass production. Because if we do so, our whole production can be rejected by the buyer. Because the buyer has given you the order on the basis of your sample. After getting the approval, the approved samples, sometimes the buyer may put some comments on the fabric, or he might want you to change a particular embroidery or the sequence. In such a case, resampling is done. Self-check questions. What is sampling? Now there is one activity which I want you people to do. Print a tablecloth with napkins and present it creatively in a completed product form. Summing up, fabrics are decorated with color and patterns using a variety of techniques. One of them is block printing. It involves the surface application of the color in a predetermined pattern, design, or motive. The craft of block printing is therefore characterized by the process, namely hand carving of blocks by skilled artisans in wood, use of hand-carved block to imprint the design onto the fabric, imprinting done by hand with a special color called the pigments. Sampling is one of the main processes and it has a vital role in attracting the buyers. Possible answers to the self-check question. The different local names of the blocks are Gad, Rekh, and Datta. Answer to question number 2. The fabric to be printed is washed properly to remove all the starch present in the fabric and the bleached so that the natural gray of the fabric is removed. This is extremely important, as if we are printing with lemon yellow or light pink, and if your fabric is gray, it will not come out as a beautiful lemon yellow or a beautiful light pink. Terminal questions. How is wooden block prepared? Question number 2. Describe the block printing process. I hope you all have understood the process of block printing and enjoyed it. Thank you.